All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Greetings from the Garden State. I'm Mike Ham. We are here in Asbury Park at Asbury Park Distilling with Rob Wile, Casey Bowen, and Bill Tambussi. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
It's good to have you all. And this is a place that I've spent way too much time at in my time in Asbury Park. It's always like the end cap of my night. Mm-hmm. So usually by the time I get back to the hotel, I'm pretty tuned up. But so let's just kind of go around the horn and say we'll kind of introduce everybody so people know who you guys are and why this is the most amount of people we've had on the show, because you all serve an integral role in what goes on here. So Rob, why don't you start?
That's debatable. First of all, Rob Wile, owner and partner here at the distillery. That's about it.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Great. Casey.
I run the cocktail side of things in the tasting room.
Awesome.
Master Distiller.
Master Distiller.
Yeah.
That's like the
Head
coolest
Distiller,
title.
I guess.
Yeah.
No, he's master.
You can make it up.
Yeah, you're a master. A master. And so how long have you guys been here?
5 years. We'll be 5 years Memorial Day.
Yeah.
May 5th will be the 5th year anniversary of the first distillation we've done here.
Awesome. What was the first thing that you guys distilled?
Gin.
Nice. And I'm drinking the gin. I've never had the gin. It's usually the bourbon that puts me over the edge, but
it took about 11 batches to figure out how I wanted it to be, so.
Yeah. And is that something that's like, it stayed the same? The recipe stayed the
Botanicals
same?
stay the same, ratios of botanicals changed.
Gotcha. So take me through, so you obviously is this where you distill everything here at this location?
Well, one of our products is contracted.
Yeah.
So everything else, though, is distilled here.
Okay. And then, because you obviously have like the tasting room here and all that kind of stuff. So was the tasting room always part of the, this location?
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally. We've, when we opened up 5 years ago, we wanted to be part of the fabric of the community, and we knew that we couldn't just have your typical tasting room that you find in many other distilleries, where you're just walking up to the bar, taking a flight.
Yeah.
Asbury, you're very familiar, obviously, is a great town in terms of food culture, cocktail culture. So we wanted to make sure that we're part of that community, which is why we built the bar program the way we did.
Yeah. So take me through maybe how the idea behind getting something like this started. Because did you have a background in stuff like this, or were you just like, hey, one day I'm just going to open up a distillery and we're going to put it in Asbury Park?
No, it was actually the brainchild of my partner, who's not here right now, Andy. But he approached me about 7 years ago now, while this thing was being built, and asked me if I would be interested in investing in the distillery. And, I had always been a big wine collector for years.
Yeah.
I was always really heavy into the food and dining scene in New York City, where I lived for ages. So I thought, what could be cooler than opening up a distillery and having a liquor brand where we can actually see your product on the shelf.
Right.
I grew up actually down here. I grew up a few towns north, about 20 minutes north of here. So incredibly familiar with the area. My family actually owned property in Asbury Park before, Asbury Park kind of had its tough times.
Yeah.
So to bring it kind of full circle was also a really cool thing for me, personally.
Right. No, that's awesome. It's just so cool because coming down here recently over the last couple of years and seeing, obviously knowing the boardwalk because you're going to go to the beach and do all that kind of stuff, but then coming down here and seeing how much this downtown area has just kind of transformed, and how cool it is because it's it makes it I think we were talking about on the phone. It makes it a year-round kind of town.
100%.
We've come in. We're recording this in March. Who's going to a shore town in March? We come in November. We come in January. We come all the time because it's a cool spot to be.
These guys can speak more eloquently to that because they're both residents of Asbury. But you're absolutely right. It's become a 12-month out of the year.
Yeah.
And feel it changing too. For it to be as busy as it has been the past month.
Right.
Is not something we ever predicted. Just as one as residents and two as people that work here all the time.
Yeah.
As February was what April and May were, pre-pandemic.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But it seems like it's becoming a full year-round town.
Yeah.
Even downtown.
And obviously, you see it. there's a tremendous amount of growth and development.
Oh,
going
it's
on,
crazy.
So it's just
Yeah.
going to continue to grow.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, and it's just, I mean, it's awesome because like this place, I feel like even though it's kind of like off of like the main drag through here, but it's still like a huge part of like this downtown area.
It really is like one of the
Yeah.
best locations you can have.
Yeah.
It does keep some of the riffraff up on Cook.
Right, keeps them up there. You know, only the desirables down here.
All those bad kids.
Those youths.
Yeah, too many youths up there. No, that's awesome. So maybe like, so if people are unfamiliar with you guys, like, so when did you start taking stuff beyond just the tasting room here and putting it on shelves? Because like, I've told you, like when I go to Wegmans up there where I live, like Asbury Park is the bourbon that I get,
Yep.
and then I go through about like a bottle a week. So I'm trying to help you guys out, keep you in business.
We appreciate that. We appreciate that. We actually started self-distribution pretty much right away.
Yeah.
Okay.
So good.
As soon as we got liquid into the bottle, we started self-distribution. And what did that mean? That meant, a lot of cases in my truck,
Right.
driving all over the state.
Yeah.
And then it got to a point where we had, a crucial number of accounts, and we had to make a decision.
Right.
Logistically, do we want to build a logistics company and continue to do
Yeah.
self-distribution, or do we want to go with a distribution partner? And we decided to do that at the time. That was probably it was less than a year.
It was April,
Right.
I think. Yeah, it was April of 2018.
Yeah, so less than a year 11 months after we opened, we
Yeah.
went with Fedway.
Okay.
Who is one of the largest distributors in Jersey.
No, that's awesome. All right, so let's hit them with the types of liquor that you guys make here, so that they know. And we're gonna get into like the more specifics of what goes on and like how you make the drinks and all that kind of stuff. So take me through that process, or
So-
like not the process,
What we have?
what we have.
All right, so we have vodka, gin, barrel-aged gins, which is just our regular gin finished in new American oak barrels for about 4 to 5 months,
Okay.
depending on season. And then we have an aquavit, which is like a gin but more of sort of dill caraway inspired. We have what we call the double barrel bourbon, which is the contract bourbon that we finish in the used gin barrels.
Okay.
And then we have a small batch whiskey, which is made from 100% New Jersey grain, distilled here, brewed, fermented, distilled here. We have a limoncello, which is really neat. And then we have a couple things that we're working on in the future. But
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried the limoncello the last time I was
Yeah.
here. I think you actually gave me like a taste, and I was like, "This is fire! Like it's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's so cool. And like, and you said, I mean, like with the gin, it's best gin in the world, right?
Subjectively, but
Subjectively,
yes,
for the purposes of this episode, it's the best gin in the world.
It was so in 2021, it was named by San Francisco World Spirits Competition as the best gin in the competition.
Yeah.
And San Francisco is probably the most prestigious in the world.
And that one was a blind competition
Yeah.
too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because it was during COVID, so
Oh, so they just, like, sent it out?
There was no
Yeah.
confirmation bias between judges. Like it was completely
Yeah.
blind, and everyone was separate.
Awesome.
I think one of the coolest things is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you changed the recipe in between.
the first time
The
we
first
submitted it,
competition.
I believe we got silver.
Yeah.
And then there was something that, like, having, done my own sort of,
Reflecting.
flavor testing.
What I do.
Quality control. There's something I was like, I think I wish the orange was a little more muted. I wish the juniper was a little bit more there.
Yeah.
So one day I just decided I'm going to do a batch with it, changing it a little bit, and then was like, oh,
This is it.
this is what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And then
This is the best gin in
And
the
it
world.
clearly was.
Yeah, that's why I think it's so
and
cool.
some
that,
people
like,
were like,
Yeah.
oh, don't change
That's
it,
awesome.
don't change
Yeah,
it,
that,
don't
like-
change it. And I was like, I'll do side by side.
Yeah.
And then like, oh, this one's.
But that's
Yeah,
what it's
yeah.
all about, right? That's what it's all about. It's
Yeah.
it's tweaking and it's pivoting,
Yeah.
and Bill's a master distiller for a reason.
Right.
He's got the education and the background and the
Yeah.
experience. And,
Yeah, we didn't win it the first time, so.
we didn't win it the first time, so we're
get
going
better.
to win it the next time.
Yeah, exactly.
that's so cool.
And I'm pretty positive when I make this statement that when I was speaking with the people at San Francisco, that this year they had the largest amount of gin entrants they've
Wow.
had in their history.
Yeah.
So again, kudos. We also won the Consumer Choice Award at that. So we took almost
Yeah.
a trifecta. We won Best in Class, which is the top overall. We took double gold, and we won the Consumer Choice Award as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which is
pretty
which is awesome.
It's
which
pretty
is
good.
awesome.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so the
Definitely
products
doesn't suck. Yeah.
No, and listen, we're still only distributing in the state of New Jersey, but
Yeah.
we do have a platform which we sell. We sell online. We sell
Right.
on our own site. We sell on mashandgrape.com. distillerybill.com. So we do have tentacles in 25 states throughout the country. And
Yeah.
the gin has been moving across the country quite nicely.
Right, awesome. And then you got some other medals up on some of these bottles too.
Yeah, so try to
Some hardware.
Yeah, not to show them off at all.
I mean, it was
yeah.
Olympic season. So
This one's for the slalom.
skeleton.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so we're going to take our first break of this episode. So that was great. We're going to get more into the process in our next segment. So this is the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. We're here at Asbury Park Distilling in Asbury Park with Rob Wile, Casey Bowen, and Bill Tambussi. That's going to get really tiring to say that every single time we start and finish a segment. But thank you for listening to this segment. We'll be right back. It is time for Today in New Jersey History. Carl Ruiz was born in Passaic, New Jersey on April 4th, 1975. He was a chef, restaurateur, and a frequent guest on the Food Network, often serving as a judge on cooking competition shows such as Guy Fieri's Grocery Games. And that is Today in New Jersey History. All right, we're back for our second segment of the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. We're here in Asbury Park at Asbury Park Distilling with Rob, Casey, and Bill. Just took the last names out. See what I did there? That was nice. So we're going to get kind of like, we kind of touched on it a little bit, the types of products that you guys offer, but maybe let's take us through like the process. The first thing you guys distilled was gin. That's what you said, right? Took 11 tries. So first off, how does one become a master distiller? What's that process like?
I mean, it's different for a lot of people. For myself, I went to school for it. I quit my job in a scientific research facility for metals.
And now you're winning medals.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
That's it, we're done.
I'm a great
Some highbrow stuff.
So then I applied to a school in Scotland to do a master's in brewing and distilling.
Cool.
Got in over there. Lived over there for about a little over a year and a half, almost a year and a half, and then moved back home. Got a job distilling down in Philadelphia, and was like, all right, I want to try to make my own recipe.
Yeah.
Found these guys, and then they gave me the space to make.
Do it.
They was like, if you have a recipe that's better, go for it.
Right. Yeah.
Some days he loves that he found us. Some days he's.
Yeah. So maybe like take us through like the process of kind of like I'm assuming that they're all distilled differently, right?
Yeah.
Or is it maybe like the core of it is the same?
The core background skeleton of what's happening is this, like the science of it is similar, very similar.
Yeah.
So like vodka has to be distilled clean. So vodka's supposed to be odorless, flavorless. So just distill the hell out of it.
Yeah. Right.
Gin, you essentially take 190 proof pure. You'll take 190 proof pure spirit, I like to cut it to about 100. This is other distillers can do what they want to do.
Yeah.
And then I macerate my botanicals in the pot at a higher temp and let them sit for about an hour.
Okay.
And then I just turn the still on, go through, and as those botanicals macerate, a lot of their oils are being extracted and flavor compounds there, and then turn the still on. Alcohol boils at a lower temp than water, so as it goes, the alcohol vapor travels up through the still with similar volatile flavor compounds.
Yeah.
And then I cool them down after they get to the condenser. And
Yeah. It's like watching moonshiners.
Yeah.
Except
so
a
they
little
all
more sophisticated and not in the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do it in the woods. It's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fun. It sounds like a great time. If you guys ever go, like, let me know. I'll come just to drink.
It's a vision
so.
quest, really.
It's really a game.
So maybe so when you guys were opening and you guys got connected.
Yeah.
Was there was there a reason why Bill was the guy that was going to kind of get this going? Like, did you interview a bunch of distillers? And ultimately landed on Bill, hey, I like this guy's vibe, or I like what this guy does, or his recipes, or whatever. What is that process like?
Yeah, I mean, just like any business, you need to fill a position, so you want to make sure that you get the best person possible in that position. And we did our due diligence, and we went through a few people, and ultimately, when Bill came to us and applied for the job, after we met him, we just knew that it was, serendipitous, so to speak.
Yeah.
He had a good background, as I said. He had the education, he had the knowledge, and he had real world experience working at a very well known distillery down in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So it was just for us. It's know what you don't know, right? We don't know it.
Yeah.
So it was pretty much a slam dunk from day one.
Right. So let's go through we're gonna get you involved now. I promise. Oh, don't? No, you don't want it?
I'm just here to enjoy it.
Yeah, we're along for the ride. So take us through, like, because that drink menu that you guys have here in the tasting room is not extensive, but it's like, but it's very carefully curated, I would imagine. So maybe take me through, like, maybe the working together process of kind of like what you're going for with some of the flavors and how you kind of like put together those drinks and figure out what you guys are going to do with them to make them shine.
It's changed like ever since menu 1 too, because like the original concept was kind of to be more of a gin and tonic style bar. Which our first menu had 6 drinks and 3 of them were like big snifter Spanish style gin and tonics.
Okay.
It also, at that time, we only had gin and vodka.
It was a completely different world. And then over the years, like that's what's been really cool about being able to work hand in hand with the distilling team and with Bill, like seeing where the spirits are going and then trying to like build. Like when the Aquavit came out, that was really exciting for us because we got to like play with a new toy.
Right.
And since like now that we have all the full line and we have kind of our other little R&D stuff in the back, we can put together a pretty extensive cocktail menu. And I'd say each season we do it, I try to put a little bit more thought into what the intention of the menu is, like what we want it to look like as a whole, what we want it to look like on the bar, what the glassware is. And it's really developed every step to like now, you know, for a little bit it was just like me kind of throwing shit at a wall, honestly. And now it's like a 6-month process of like, what do we want the bar to look like? What's our you know, aesthetic for menu?
So we have me and the bar team have weekly staff meetings, and tomorrow actually session is whiteboarding out what the next menu is going to drop. It's going to drop in April. We know that, but we haven't had a theme yet. We don't have a concept yet. We don't have glassware yet. We don't have bar set up yet. We're going to start to whiteboard that out tomorrow.
It's interesting because I came from the music world. This is my first time in a bar. Here.
And you said you've been here since day 3, 4,
like,
whatever.
Not exaggerating, just kind of walked in off the street. And,
like literally? Like looking for a job? Awesome.
I just needed a change. Like, started as a bar back, and I just didn't leave. I moved closer every year.
He really needs you. He stays here 24 hours a day.
Very little exaggeration. But it's like I've learned a lot about this as we've grown. Especially, it's been really. I'm super grateful to work in a place where I have now a full line of knowledge with the spirits, but then can bring that into the cocktail side. And each menu like feels like you're releasing an album. Like it's very, the parallels of that has been like, that was comforting coming into doing something I'd never done before. But it's a lot of fun, like coming into like.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
That's like, cool. It's Asbury Park. It's like a good way to tie it all together, you know.
Then you like when the menu drops, like then you go on tour for 9 months, and by the end of it, you're like, I'm sick of playing these songs.
And you gotta freshen up.
But I really like these 3, so I'll play them again.
And then we literally did
favorites. That's the encore.
The first menu back was the shut up and play the hits menu.
It was
like I didn't want to recycle drinks for so long because I was stubborn. And I'm like, well, after menu 6, there's only so many juices you can use.
Exactly.
So it's like cool to revisit old tracks, essentially. But this one, I'm talking about like it's an album drop.
No, it's like it's perfect. It makes so much sense.
It
But
works
like
totally.
we were talking about like how to approach it because like you get burnt out trying to like force flavors into things. So I was like, we were talking to the team the other day, like, let's focus on like the season, like maybe look at it as like a palette. Like that'll be like the starter. Like let's look at like
that's what I was gonna ask. Like
colors.
does it change like for the season? Like summertime, it's gonna be different than if you come, today.
Like rarely anymore is it like coming from. It's a lot of times like there's a flavor I want, but you don't know what you want to do with it. But like this one, it's like let's look at like a color scheme or and not like necessarily make the drinks that color, but like kind of use that as a
design inspiration.
Menu
inspiration, and there's no set. We don't have like April 15th, June 15th, September 15th. It's kind of like when we feel like it, or if it feels stale, we'll pull some stuff and throw some stuff on.
And then it's cool to be able to work with Bill. Like if there's something we want to do, like I've gotten to wave a little mini still back there. We got to work on like little UDVs or like not brandies, but little flavored spirits just to use up here. But then it's cool because if someone likes it, then we can actually look at the idea of putting it
how to make it big scale, large scale.
This has been an incredible test market for us. For example, the limoncello that you have had taste of.
Yeah.
So we weren't sure how this was going to go in the market. There's a lot of them out there. This one's vastly different than most of them.
Right.
And Casey and Bill could talk about why. But what we do is we bring products out here. We put them on our shelf. If they fly off our shelf here, then we have it's instant R&D, right?
Yeah.
We have a test market, so that's been really, really cool. We're actually releasing, as Bill talked about, we're going to be releasing a clemencello, which is a clementine version of the limoncello.
Yeah.
We'll test it here.
Yeah.
We'll see how it does.
Right.
If it does well, then we'll put it out to market.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Talk to me also about, like, you mentioned greatest hits. What are the greatest hits? Like, what do you see people coming in here and ordering the most over the time that you've been here?
We've had, right now there's 3 drinks in the menu that we've had since, minus the gin and tonic, because that's just always going to be there.
Yeah.
But breakfast, which is like a vodka, cold brew, and horchata, has been on there since day one, essentially. John Bouchon, which is a rooibos infused bourbon, lemon juice, and barrel finished gin. And then the number 67, which was actually one of the first bar manager here, is his, like, I think it was the second drink that he made.
Yeah.
And those 3 have been on the menu since, probably a year.
Yeah.
Year 2.
Yeah.
No matter how many new menus we come out with, those 3 are always in the top 3, which drives me nuts.
Well, I mean, listen, there's a reason why they're in the top 3, because they're absolutely delicious.
Yeah, and then like it's still
You're
cool.
trying
like,
to get better than that.
Yeah,
You know?
and
He wants his medal.
Right. Everybody around has got medals. Casey needs a medal.
When the Bouchon was taken off the menu for like one thing, everybody came in here and was like,
there was
They were mad.
what do you mean?
People
got mad.
Yeah.
We had a vodka cranberry thing, which at the time, like, we did a sous vide cranberry and vodka, which at the time was like kind of a new thing for us to try that method.
Yeah.
And it was just that lime juice and soda, and we just wanted to have a simple drink, and we finally took it off like last year, and like people got mad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sorry.
Isn't that crazy too?
It's so weird. Like, why do you get that offended
The best
by it?
vodka cran they've ever had. Like it was like
Pressing
it's
50 pounds of cranberries.
Which, by the way, the supposed drink of this year is going to take over the espresso martini as the Cosmopolitan.
Yeah,
So
got that a lot. And lemon,
we
lemon
may
drops.
want to think about that.
Yeah.
How can we make it better?
Yeah, I love it. It's just so cool because, like, you see it on the shelves, you can pick it up and get all that kind of stuff. But it's really cool to come in here and, like, every time I've interacted, whether it's with you or one of the other bartenders, it's like everyone is like always trying like different stuff. Like I remember there was like a bucket of eggs on the counter the one time, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" And like he explained like why there's eggs there and like how they mix it in and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we had first time we did an egg white cocktail, like nobody wanted to touch it.
Yeah.
And like now people love them.
Yeah.
We have one with a whole egg in it, and people actually order it.
Yeah.
Which like a
Crazy.
year, 2 years ago, they wouldn't have even like batted.
I mean, you had to be in like the best New York City cocktail bars to have egg whites in
put
your
an egg in
drink,
your drink.
and so the people weren't accustomed to it here.
Pandemic really changed the way people view the like cocktail landscape.
Yeah.
Like where someone will be talking about it, like they'll be on a date and someone's questioning why there's eggs, and you'll hear the guy be like, "Oh, it's for like because it have froth on top." I'm like, I'm glad I didn't have to answer it. Like I appreciate that people are doing their research, but it's nice that like now there's a care for it.
Yeah.
And especially with spirit, how it ties into spirits, like people are interested in trying. Like aquavit was not a thing that people wanted to even talk about 2 or 3 years ago, and now like people are interested. They can't pronounce it, but they're interested.
Sure.
in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just things like that. They catch fire in cocktail culture. And,
Right.
Once we hear that, we're able to then decide as a company whether we want to do it or not.
Yeah, right. Give it a shot, and like you said, you have a good like testing area here,
Absolutely.
and then you can kind of take it from there. So I think that's so cool, and just kind of like it's always cool at like especially places like this that I come to and like frequent. Then you learn like the stories behind everybody and kind of like how you got started and how your process works and like your background and all that kind of stuff. And it's so cool to learn those stories and kind of like that's the whole point of the show. So we're gonna take our. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say.
Please,
I mean, that also helps us too because someone like yourself, you come in here and you don't walk out and you're like, yeah, whatever, and maybe I'll go back.
Yeah, right.
You're probably walking out and saying, I can't wait to go back.
Yeah.
And that's what we want our customers to feel.
Yeah.
And then you're taking it up to your hometown and being like looking for it and asking for it, and
Right.
that's
It's
You know,
become
spreads.
like I think I messaged you or maybe just the Instagram account. I was a guest on somebody else's podcast, and I went to their studio, and I never record in a studio. I'm recording here as people are coming through the ceiling. It's unbelievable. But
Get the broom.
right.
You didn't know there's a circus up there.
Yeah, no, I think the elephant just sat down or whatever. But yeah, like I brought a bottle of Asbury Park bourbon. Like I went to Wegmans, picked it up, brought it down, and we drank it like on the
great.
show, and it was
Yeah, it's
great.
great.
And they loved it. They said it was a little spicier than what they were used to, but then like by the third glass, the guy was like slurring his words, and I was like, clearly you like it. So
He was
Spicy.
okay, great. So now we're going to take our second break, our last break of this episode. This is the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. We're here in Asbury Park at Asbury Park Distilling with Rob, Casey, and Bill. We'll be right back. It is time for New Jersey Fun Fact of the Day. Did you know that the light bulb, the motion picture projector, and the phonograph record player were invented by Thomas Edison in Menlo Park, New Jersey? And that is your New Jersey Fun Fact of the Day. All right, we're back for our last segment of the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. We were here in Asbury Park at Asbury Park Distilling with Rob, Casey, and Bill. So in the first segment, we learned about the background of the business, what everybody does here. Second segment, we learned kind of the distilling process, what goes into that, and then how you guys put together the menus in the tasting room here. But in the last segment, we always like to do something where we tie it back to the community in some way. And, excuse me, Asbury Park, it seems to me, is a very community-driven type of place. I mean, it's like a very different kind of community, but it's just a very strong community. It's like a year-round type town, like we were mentioning earlier. So take me through maybe some stuff, and I think we're going to start with the logo, about like how, like the relationship between the distillery and the community as a whole.
Yeah, Mike, I think you're 100% right when you say that Asbury Park is really like, an intentional kind of collaborative community.
Yeah.
Everybody here is, for the most part, you have your outliers, but for the most part, everyone's super supportive of other businesses.
Yeah.
They want us to succeed. They want the town to succeed, the city to succeed. And most people have good heart and are good-natured. From day one, when we opened our doors, we wanted to kind of represent that as well. We wanted to show that our doors are open to everyone. So it actually started with our logo. The logo design was done by a local artist named Porkchop, who's very well known here in the community. There's a core group of artists down here who are very well known. We figured we thought it was important to have a local artist design our logo. So our logo itself has all the aspects of ourselves, Asbury, our business. Around her face is the juniper berry and the rye stalk, which is our base products.
Yeah.
The medallion around her head is the same medallion that adorns the Carousel building down on the boardwalk, which is an iconic building in the world.
Yeah.
She has tentacles in her hair. Clearly, she's of the sea. Her crown is a crown that you'll see if you're walking around downtown or even up at the boardwalk. You'll see it on Convention Hall. You'll see it on a lot of the buildings. But I think what's most important is that he painted her eyes closed, and that was pretty intentional because we wanted to show that it was a no judgment zone.
Yeah.
Everyone's welcome. Everyone's welcome. In our doors, and we want you to accept us as new kids on the block in the community as well.
Right.
She's not hammered. Passed out. A lot of people say that. It's really about inclusivity.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great because, like, I mean, how many times have I seen that logo? And it's just cool to hear like the actual story about each piece of it.
Yeah.
It's really awesome. And then I think like we were talking also about this logo here on the limoncello was done by a bartender, right?
Over servers, yeah.
It was done by one of our servers. Yeah, we wanted to keep it in house again. So anytime we do these things, whether it's label design or T-shirt design, menu creation, obviously we want as much of our team included in that as possible. Yeah. Because they know the brand really well, they're passionate about it, and it portrays in the imaging as you see there. It's an unbelievable label for our limoncello, our first run.
Yeah, it's just so cool because it's so different than everything else. Because obviously, like the other ones are like the actual distillery's logo, and then like the same kind of like branding on it. But this one is just kind of like it pops because it's so different. Yeah, it's great.
You want to talk to that? The reason why we did that?
I mean, to me, it's a liqueur. So the other products are just like hard spirits so they all fit sort of a line. The limoncello, which is really the brainchild of Casey, is a liqueur, so kind of wanted to separate.
Softer,
so wanted to kind of separate them from.
Yeah, it also
the
left
main
us
base of it.
room to kind of grow that
Sure.
line. If we're
Like the
gonna do-
Clemencello like you were talking about, or you were talking about before. No, that's awesome. So you guys are both, like we said, residents, right? So can you maybe each of you take me through like what you like about Asbury Park, like and living here?
In the summertime, the scooters.
I see scooters around.
Yeah.
Is it just
Well,
summer?
I mean, they're year-round,
They're
but
year-round.
in the wintertime, I don't know.
You should see
It's a
them.
little, right. That makes sense. Yeah.
Scooters are great. I mean, you have the beach.
Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah, there's always something to do.
I honestly didn't start going to the beach until like last year,
Yeah.
after 5 years. But like,
In your life?
you would not believe what that thing looks like.
Have you ever been to a beach?
It's two things. It's two
Water
very
and
different
dirt.
things.
The same.
But like, it's cool, especially being in the hospitality industry and like
Yeah.
this side of it, like, because you see all of the people that you like work with in that community, like the same places, and
Right.
because it's such a, especially downtown, like there's so many people that really it's their career,
Yeah.
that really care about this as a more than just a job,
Right.
And like it's fun to like talk shop, and I love talking to the guys over at like Barrio and Rayla and Lalo, like what they're up to. Same with like Tallulah's crew, like everyone like cares about it,
Yeah.
and you become very mindful of what the industry looks like in Asbury Park, and you also like you see everyone at the bars and. There's,
And then comes Memorial Day, and you know nobody.
nobody. And then you like see each other in January, like that sucked, didn't it?
Yeah, we were actually like having that conversation last night at dinner. We were talking about like, do you think people that live in Asbury Park like it when people come down over the summer? And I'm like, well, I guess it brings in like a lot of business, creates a lot of jobs, all that kind of stuff. But then at the same time, like I'm sure you just want to get everyone the hell out and get the summer over.
It's hard. It's because like.
It depends on the person you are, though, right? There's just
Well, yeah,
not
like if
nice
you're-
people who come in.
You have to
There are
be-
great people
there's
who
a,
come in.
there's a masochistic thing to say for sure. It's like, but you would get kind of stale if you didn't. Like,
Yeah, right.
I love,
Change it up a little bit.
I love and hate the fact that like at 2:00 on a Saturday, there's 10 people waiting outside.
Yeah.
I hate it at that moment, but like the fact that is like what this town is breeding, and the fact that it's 10 brand new people,
Right.
Like most of the time.
Yeah.
And then like over that course of like that weekend, then you build 2 or 3 regulars that now you see once a month, and then
Right.
once a week. It's cool to see it happen, but like you kind of, especially Saturdays are the real like they're tough. There's so many people in town, especially when there's like events and stuff going on.
Oh yeah, I would imagine.
There's bands playing.
But it is
Yeah.
cool. I was just gonna bring that up because like on Saturday they had the Taylor Swift thing over at
Oh, right, at
House, and like you can definitely tell what's going on at House by what people are wearing around town.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pink dresses.
But it's as we touched on before. It's an incredible marketing opportunity for us
Yeah.
because people are coming here from all over the place.
Right.
Yeah, it's weird. Like the fact that people come down here from New York, like I was in
All
New York,
over the
and people are
country.
coming from Philly. Like they're coming. This is such a destination.
Yeah.
And it felt like our first couple of years, this specifically was like very much reliant on foot traffic.
Yeah.
And now it's become a destination, and
Right.
then you get also the foot traffic on top of it.
Yeah.
But like people come in, they're like, we've been dying to get here.
Yeah.
Which is really cool to hear after 5 years, like how
Right.
different that
Yeah.
is than
Than when it first started.
Yeah.
And so like for me and for us, like this is always a place. Like at some point, whenever we're down here, like we have to stop in. Like
Yeah.
even if it's just for a drink, because it's just like one of our favorite spots. Like we have to get here. We have to come in and try something different.
Yeah.
Or like get an old fashioned because that's
I love
my go-to.
I like that side of it too, because then I
Yeah.
like see people that I like after this many times doing it.
Right.
Like, this past weekend, there was a group of people that I recognized, and I just kept staring at them. Like, I know you from somewhere. I know it's here, but I don't remember why.
Yeah.
And then, like, it's cool seeing people come back. It's cool seeing like how busy it is in February.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. What about like is there like a reverse, like the community's support of you guys and like all the stuff that you're doing? Because obviously like you're supportive of the community and all the other businesses that are around here. But take me through like that process too. Like are they in turn as supportive as you are of them?
There are certain businesses that are incredibly loyal to us and have been incredibly loyal since day one.
Yeah.
The first restaurant we had ever been in is up in Long Branch called Traumas. Their manager came to me and said, "I want you in my establishment."
Yeah.
And the next day he had it in the door. He's a local Asbury resident, loves our product, and has been loyal.
We used to be neighbors before.
That's right, you were neighbors with him.
Nice.
And we've been behind that bar since day one.
Yeah.
And we have a ton of those, and not even just locally. We have a ton of them throughout the state.
Yeah.
People who really understand what the local push is all about and what really supporting local is.
Yeah.
Supporting local to me is full circle.
Right.
Our doors are probably 80% full with people who are in the surrounding areas.
Yeah.
That's local, right?
Yeah.
So in turn, if those locals are supporting you, you should be supporting them as well.
100%.
So I know that was a kind of roundabout answer.
No, that was great.
I felt like, we mentioned New Kids on the Block. Like, that's been the change for me that I've noticed, is that it doesn't feel like people are acknowledging what we're doing because we're just new anymore.
Right.
Because we're like this, fresh face.
Yeah.
Like, now people are genuinely supporting it because they
Right. 'Cause
want
you
to
guys
support it, and that's been really cool.
Yeah,
to kinda
doing
see.
cool things and, like helping be a part of like what we were talking about in the first second, helping being a part of what's going on in like the downtown part of Asbury Park, and then as it kind of like progresses, west and like all that kind of stuff. So I think that's awesome.
And I think we have reputation now, and a good one. Bill and Kelly make fantastic products.
Yeah.
As does the bar team. And, I think there's always speculation in the beginning. You see it with all the breweries that have popped up. You've seen it with all the distilleries that have popped up. And a lot of them, unfortunately, don't get like the greatest initial. It's like, oh, they're a small little spot.
Yeah.
They're probably not any good.
Right.
And I think we've been able, I'm sure we shed that a little bit in the beginning. And now we're, I think, a very respected brand.
Yeah, and it's so cool, like, because when you go and you see it like on shelves and like all that kind of stuff, it's like it's like little Asbury Park, right, and then like you guys here, but then it's just on the shelves with like all those other like major bourbon brands, like it just and like going to those types of like events and all that kind of stuff and winning those prizes and beating those kinds of brands.
You got a big life-size poster of him in Kelly.
That's awesome.
Total Wine.
Yeah, I love it.
The local Total Wine here has a big poster of Bill and Kelly right in the back of the bourbon section.
We were there on Christmas, and he was standing in front. I'm like, is that the guy? Is that him on the? I think it might be.
That guy's about 6'20".
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, so if people want to learn more about the distillery and what you guys have going on, where can they go to do that?
They go to our website, apdistilling.com, and our Instagram channel. Those are probably our two most prevalent places where you can find out kind of either our products themselves or kind of what we're doing on a day-to-day.
Yeah, awesome. And then I think we said before the thing cut out, which was amazing. It's like deja vu doing this exact conversation again. And then they can pretty much go to how many liquor stores in the state?
We're in quite a bit now. Most of your big box retailers, all the Wegmans, Total Wines, Bottle Kings, but a lot of mom and pops as well, a lot of boutique spots. We've pulled through about 480 or so accounts throughout the year, so you could probably find us somewhere.
Awesome. Okay, yeah, this was great, and it was so cool. And guys, thank you so much for coming on with us today. This was awesome. And like I said before, at the end of the second segment, it's so cool to see like the stories behind places that you go and visit all around New Jersey. So Rob, Casey, Bill, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Of course. And everybody else, thank you for listening. This has been the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. We were here at Asbury Park Distilling in Asbury Park with Rob Wile, Casey Bowen, and Bill Tambussi. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Up here all I see, crowded lights